So we are on. Okay. So tonight is a little bit of a, I don't know what to call tonight of the subject. I don't know if that's good or not good. So I'll be honest with you, I don't know where we're going to go with it. So we're all going to go on the same journey. So you and I, we're all in the same boat. Cruise. Okay.
That's all we'll go.
So I figured we'll start with Haggadah Shel Pesach, because Haggadah Shel Pesach. Okay, so first things first, we'll start with Biur Chametz. Quick ideas of Biur Chametz, and we'll just kind of start shooting out ideas. Somebody has questions or wants to add anything, just fire back.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't want to add anything.
Yeah.
The question is the website that you gave me for last week's
Yeah.
show. I looked it and it like didn't come up.
Really?
It was like this site, whatever.
Oh, we'll try it again.
I was like, I want to hear it. I missed it.
Okay, so we'll try
The
it.
other thing was,
since I got you.
if instead of just audio, if you could also do like a video.
Yes, I don't know how.
Somebody's got to know. There's got to be an app or something.
So we'll have to research.
Like,
maybe after
YouTube,
Pesach. Yes, maybe after Pesach we'll see if we can bring the computer or something, and we'll
And then
figure
this
out.
way we might be able to do that like a live stream and do Skype for
Right.
people that can't make it.
Right. So that's a good idea.
It's all
That's a good idea.
free and
Yeah.
easy and
Yeah.
it's just more accessible to more people. It's much awesomer.
Right. No, for sure. So let's see. Let's see if we can. If someone knows how to do computers and things like that.
Let's finish it up and after
We'll start.
finish,
Okay.
we can talk about the
So,
matters.
Biur Chametz. Okay, so we know that we're going to check for the Chametz on the night of the 14th, right? So this year we're going to be on Sunday night. You're going to go from the Beit Knesset. You're going to finish Tfilat Mincha, and normally what they're going to do is because people are not going to come back and forth, they're going to finish Aravit quickly, and they're going to go home, and by Tzedek Kochavim, right around that time, you're going to start checking. Simple idea. Again, we're just checking the chametz, but of course we know that we're doing more than just checking chametz. It's not so simple, right? Checking chametz. So first of all, what is chametz? What's the root of chametz? The root of chametz is the same thing as matzah. We know that for 7 days we're going to be eating matzah. But I ask you a simple question: what's the ingredients of chametz, of bread, regular bread that you make? What's the ingredients? Wheat, flour, right, and water. What's the ingredients of matzah? Same thing. Okay, so okay, good. So this is indicating rising, right? Good. So the idea is very simple, that the difference between matzah and chametz is that it rises. Now, what causes it to rise? This is an important question. What causes the chametz to rise?
Yeast?
Nothing. I mean, the sourdough, the yeast,
yeah.
but technically, you don't do anything. So if you ever make challah, so you push it and you mesh it and you do whatever you gotta do with it, and then you just put it in the seer, in the bowl, and you leave it there, and you leave it there, and you leave it there, and all of a sudden you come back like 2-3 hours later, and this like little dough that was all of a sudden it's expanding. Whoa! It's like a monster, one of those big giant monsters. How did it do that? And if you would leave matzah, it would also do that same thing. What's the difference? The difference is that in the matzah, they were constantly hitting it and beating it and chigging it and crushing it and moving it and quickly. It got to move. Matzah doesn't rest for a moment. It's quickly moving. So right away we see already the difference between matzah and chametz. Something that is called chametz is that there is an idea that it's left alone. The idea is very simple, that people might think, if you look outside in the world, it's very easy to think that Hashem left the world. Hashem is not running it 100%. He's maybe running it, some people will say he runs it 50%, 75%. But the idea of the matzah is that he runs it 100%. How do you see it? Because in the matzah, the person who's making the matzah, constantly involved in it, doesn't stop doing it. In the chametz, in what becomes chametz, the person stepped away and left the chametz, and then all of a sudden it rises. So that's one idea. The one idea of chametz and matzah is there is a difference between the method that it's made, and that's the difference between our perspective on life and the Goyim's perspective on life. Now, the Goyim also see Kadosh Baruch Hu. They say there's God, but do they say that every little thing is God? I heard a story that the students wanted to ask the Baal Shem Tov explain to us divine providence, Ashgaha Pratit, that Hashem runs every little nikuda, every little dot. So he sat and he was thinking and was thinking and was thinking. And as they're sitting and they're thinking, they're in the forest, a leaf falls from the tree. He falls, and the Baal Shem Tov looks at the tree, and the leaf pauses, and they're all looking. And he's looking like very, intently and analyzing the leaf. And they're all analyzing the leaf with him. And all of a sudden comes a little caterpillar, eats the leaf. So the Baal Shem Tov says, that's Hashgacha Pratit. That one leaf would fall from the tree exactly to the point where the caterpillar who was walking by has to eat it. That's Hashgacha Pratit. That means that Hashem is guiding every little nikuda, every little dot. That's the main idea of the matzah. That's why it's called besides being called the bread of affliction and the poor man's bread and all the regular ones, it's called the bread of emunah. The Lashon of Zohar, it's called it's bread of emunah. That's the idea. Now, again, of course, also emunah is not a trait that we just say, I have emunah. No, you don't just have emunah. Because if a person just convinces himself, just says to himself that he's got emunah, he doesn't really have emunah. Emunah is built off of relationship. Think about, let's say you walk down the street and a complete stranger says to you, I want to give you, I want you to give me your bank account quickly. What? I don't even know you. No, trust me. Now, if we trust that person, we would call the person, he's stupid. He's a little bit of a meshuggah. You don't just give somebody your credit cards or bank account. Where's the? But let's say you have a person you've dealt with 5 times in the past. You've done business transaction time and time, and all 5 times he's been trustworthy and he purchased from you on credit, and he also repaid you on time. So the 6th time, you say, I'm going to trust him. Now, do you know for sure he's going to pay you back? You don't really know for sure. There's no guarantee. But your trust, your emunah, is built on a relationship. That's what causes you to, quote unquote, know that he will pay you back. You don't really know that he's going to pay you back, but you do know. You're so certain, it's almost like it's real. That's the difference between a person who has emunah and a person who just says he has emunah. A person who has real emunah, it's built off of a relationship. It doesn't just come overnight. It's built off of learning Torah and understanding where his connection is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, that's why we always say that when a person is learning Torah and he sees a word, or you're going to be reading the Haggadah, don't just take words and say, okay, we're reading Psukim. A lot of the Haggadah is going to be Psukim. And we can get very lost and just, okay, in our table, we go around the table and each one reads. So you could just start reading. Okay, we're done. We read the book. That's not what Haggadah is. Every word, every nikuda, every dot is a story. It's a story. And tonight we're going to show you the Haggadah wasn't just one-time thing. It wasn't just, okay, it was in Egypt and that was it. We're going to show you the Haggadah is alive today. The Haggadah is alive today. Every day is a Haggadah day. The idea of Haggadah, right, which is Haggadah, saying it over, right? When your son will ask you, it's tomorrow, but it means in the future, you're going to tell him the following story. Telling, you don't just say over things that you, and this is what we said before last week. Remember, someone mentioned that there was a new Haggadah, and they're just going to read the Divrei Torah from that Haggadah on the table. So our response was, don't read it. Because if you're just reading Divrei Torah on the table, it's great, it's a good idea. But it's not you. You haven't acquired it. You didn't live it. When you're going to give over Divrei Torah, make sure it's something that you feel, that make it alive. Make sure that it's something that, read it beforehand, know it, understand it, live it for a week. This maybe is the idea that the Am Yisrael took the sheep, right? Before they slaughtered it. Where was the sheep? For 1 week. It was tied to their bedpost. Tied to the bedpost. It's almost like saying, bring in the most disgusting thing in Tum'ah, and bring it into your house and tie it to your bedpost. In Egypt, the god was the sheep. So you want us to bring a sheep, which is their god, into our house? What's the point? So perhaps, based on what we're saying, how are you going to say it? Well, we just had a sheep and we slaughtered it. That's it? No. Study the sheep. Bring the sheep into your house. Study it. I want for 7 days for you to study the sheep. Understand it. Understand what it means. Understand how it works. Understand the whole ramification of the sheep. Because when you're going to say it, I don't want you to read from the book. Reading is meaningless. I want you to say it. When you're saying it, you're saying it from your heart. You're saying it from emotion. There was a famous story with the Gra. It was, not the Gra, excuse me. The Gra? It was the Gra. I already forgot. Okay, I've heard the name. But anyway, it was in Poland or one of the countries of Europe, and there was a decree that they were going to close down some yeshivas or whatnot, or the religious schools, and so there was two sects. There was the old timers religious sect, and then there was the new kids on the block. The new guys they had studied in yeshiva, and then they went out and they were exposed to the new modern culture, and they were diplomatic and they spoke the language with etiquette and eloquency, and they were very good. So they told the Rav, said, Rav, you finally need us. You need us to go to speak to the king to abolish these decrees. You can't do it. What are you going to speak to him in Yiddish? He's not going to understand you. Yeah, you're telling him a piece of Gemara. What is he going to? I said, okay. So Rav went with these young guys, and the young guys are feeling good about themselves. These Orthodox, they finally need us. These old-time Ravs, so they go in front of the king, and they are sitting there with their eloquent speech and their philosophy and this and that. And he says, what do you guys want? I'm abolishing nothing. Get out of here. So the Rav sees that the king is not being moved. So he calls them to the side, says, guys, move. He comes in front of the king, and in his old Yiddish, he starts screaming out to the king from the bottom of his heart. And the king is moved. The king is crying with the Rav. He doesn't know why, he's just crying. He says, whatever you want, I'm abolishing it. And so they asked the king, what did you understand what he was saying to you? He said, no, but the man was so moving. I couldn't but help just go with him. So we see that when words come out from our heart, they're a whole different ball game than just words. You're right. Divrei Torah is always Divrei Torah. I'm not condemning that. I'm not saying you shouldn't read the Divrei Torah on the table. If that's what you have to do, read it. But don't ever think that just, okay, I read the Divrei Torah, I'm done my obligation. No. If you can't say it over, because that's what Pesach is, say it over, then what did you do? Because you're going to have to carry this with you for the rest of the 7 days and plus the rest of the 360 whatever plus days of the year. 300 whatever minus 365 minus the 7 days. So that's what you're going to do. Okay. So we said B'dikat Chametz, right? So you're going to check the Chametz. So now you know that checking Chametz is not a 5-minute job, right? You might check the house in 5 minutes, but the whole idea is to check the person's heart. Now another thing is a very important thing. Pesach is called Pesach, right? The mouth. Pesach, that talks. We spoke about last week. Sach is also the numerical value 68, which is the numerical value of Chaim, life. Right? Chaim hem lemotzihem. The Gemara says that the words come alive. The words come alive. The words come alive when you attach meaning from your heart to them. Right? So this is why it's very important that a person leading up to the Seder, and for sure, and I'm sending this warning, I'm going to say the same thing next week. I think we have class next week, right? We say the same thing next week. And if I see you before the Chag, I'm going to tell you the same thing. One must be very